Welcome to Unschool, where we undoctrinate you from public school nonsense. The WEF agenda is failing. This is from the Freedom Corner with Peter Sweden. I've been liking his stuff on Substack recently, so you might check it out. It says Swedish company producing insects goes bankrupt due to low demand. But are we surprised? Are we surprised? Like, doesn't this pile of bugs here look appeasing? Look appetizing? No. And it doesn't. It does not look appealing at all. No. No, thank you. No, I don't want it. But I don't want bugs. I like meat. I like meat from cows and other animals. Okay? From pigs. That's where it's at. And not made in a lab. I'm talking about the real thing. But, the Bill Gates of the world want us to eat fake nutrients that they try to make healthier. You could cover those in chocolate. I still wouldn't eat it. No, thank you. It says here, Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum has been pushing for people to eat insects instead of meat to stop climate change. No, right? How about steak and eggs and maybe some veggies? That's where it's at, right there. That's a meal. That's a healthy meal. Get your meat in the morning. That's what Jordan Peterson says. No pun intended. Get your steak, right? Because apparently cows are now bad for the planet and fart too much. That's a Bill Gates opinion right there. It's true. So a Swedish company called Tibrito has been working hard to produce mealworms for insect proteins to put in human food like granola and protein bars. They got a whopping $4.2 million in investments to push this nonsense. And now they have gone bankrupt because it seems like nobody wants to eat their insects. Who could have guessed it? Who could have guessed it? They could have asked me. I would have said no. Don't put $4 million into that. It's a waste of time and money. In 2023, they only had a revenue of a meager $49,000, right? In Europe, they use a period instead of a comma, in case you're wondering. That's $49,000. They mix it up from what we do in America. Anyways, and losing almost 12.6 million. In other words, nobody is buying their insects. Looks like people are rejecting the WEF agenda. Of course, as soon as they find out what it is, they say no thank you. And this isn't the only thing that happened. Last week, another Swedish company called Mycorrhiza went bankrupt. They got a whopping 27.8 million in investments to produce 3D printed fake meat made out of mycelium. It is clear that even in liberal Sweden, people do not want to eat fake food. I could have told you this and saved these investors their money. Yes, most of us could. Probably everyone listening to this right now could have saved them millions of dollars, but they didn't want to listen because it's a racket anyways. They probably took the money and then paid themselves a bunch. That's what seems to happen with these large government and or institutions or NGOs in the case of WEF. They invested large sums in insects and fake meat, likely because it is being promoted by organizations like the WEF. Obviously, people do not want it and simply didn't buy the fake food products, so they went bankrupt. Go woke, go broke. But why is this stuff being pushed? Well, let me tell you something that you won't hear anywhere else. It all goes back to the UN Agenda 2030, which is basically very similar to what the WF is pushing. They literally say the following: to reach the goals and of the 2030 agenda, the way we produce food and the types of food we eat must change, right? Because they really, really don't like cow farts. I don't know why the communists don't like cow farts. They really, I don't think they like animals or humanity in general. I've talked to numerous socialists and communists in my life, and they'll tell you right to your face that they think human beings are parasitic, and now and now they want people to eat those. But anyways, without proper nutrition, sustainable agriculture, and fair treatment for all those who produce, harvest, and distribute food, there can be no prosperity, peace, or justice or equality. To reach the goals and the 2030 agenda, the way we produce food and the types of food we eat must change. The United Nations Food Summit aims to transform food systems based on conversations with indigenous peoples, young people, farmers, researchers, and governments. It will lay out an ambitious plan to address the intertwined issues of hunger, poverty, and climate change. Whatever. They just want socialism and they want to control what you eat and what you do, right? Their big plan is make you eat bugs and live in highly controlled 15-minute cities. Uh, People have to reject that. The West has to say no. In other words, they are pushing for fake foods in order to stop climate change. This is the reason that farmers have been under attack. Climate change is being used as an excuse to control the food supply. Not so much different than a century ago, right? Even in the United States, they tried government controlled farming under Hoover and FDR. They started killing pigs and cows and burning crops in order to raise the price of food. And, it just caused shortages. And then they blamed the weather for that as well. I'm not kidding. Like read modern public school textbooks, and they will completely gloss over that FDR had tons of animals killed, tons of foods destroyed, and they'll blame it on the Dust Bowl instead, which is not true. Bad weather happens because that's just a fact of life. Okay, but these people are so pretentious. These WEFers and these world bankers and so on that they think that they can manipulate the weather, But the rest of us, we have different ideas, don't we? I'm going to call it there for this video, but check out Peter Sweden.